Shabbat Shalom to my brothers and sisters who are called the bride of the Lamb. And Shabbat Shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites, for you are the bride of Yahuwah. I first like to apologize for the quality of the video dealing with the blood moon yesterday. But I was not aware how bad it was until so that's why I made sure in the video description box that you got the most important things. But I'm asking you, my brothers and sisters, not only in that video, but in this video, please check the video description box or the pinned comment section, because our Father has spoken unto us, especially to you Israelites. He's spoken unto us. Shalom, everyone. He has let us know what season we are in. For those who have been keeping record of time, we know we are in the 7th day from Adam, which is the 12,000 year of creation. And you can find evidence of that in 2nd Ezra chapter 7. It goes along with Matthew chapter 24. You can also look at Beta records, my records, Brother Hashur, and we will confirm unto you that we are in the 7th day from Adam, so we know we're in the season where the Messiah can return at any day and time. But we will not know the day and hour of his coming, okay? But he said we should know the season. Let's first open up with this. I want to go to the book of Numbers, because what you see before you, I have a video of dealing with the shofar playing, because today is his holy day, and you probably say, how is this day the Sabbath or the Shabbat? Well, we are in the fourth beast kingdom, and they had hidden so much from us. Also in the Most High Word, he said to the Israelites that this is one of the days that should be taken from us. It shall cease from among us because of us breaking the covenant. You can go to timeanddate.com. They have a pretty good breakdown of the history of the ancient Roman calendar, how it went from the ancient Roman calendar to the Julian calendar to the present day Gregorian calendar. And you will find many errors in that calendar. But one of the errors that has sticked out the most that I share with you is that you will learn they never followed the circuits of the heaven. See, in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, it gives us 3 lights that form the creative heavens. That form the creative calendar. They are the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth, which is known as the 12 signs that the Gentile call the zodiac. Okay? So when you learn how these lights work together to form his calendar, you will learn that the heathens or the Gentiles or the Romans don't follow the heavens at all. So if they don't follow the heavens, how can they give you the correct Sabbath day? One of the things I want you to do, my brothers and sisters, and you have time, I'm asking you, do not harden your heart. Do not close your ears or your eyes. I'm asking you to hear me out and just listen and to do the research yourself. When you go on timeandDate.com, it gives you the history. It was in the 1940s, and it first started with Italy. Isn't that ironic? Italy, Rome. They realized they were so many days behind the sun circuit. They was losing time. It was about 10 days they was behind the sun year. So when they made the correction, they started on the wrong day of their own weekly format. See, if you understand math, do you understand the error that I'm talking about? Because the heathens say that the week is a continuous 7-day week cycle. If it's a continuous 7-day week cycle, and when you look at what day of the week they start on, you will see they did not start on the correct day of their weekly format. I challenge you, go look at it. It's simple math. And when you see the greatest error, it will bring you back to the greater, because that's what it did to me. I said, Father, how do we know what is your holy day and what's your ordinary days? And you know what the Father had me to do? He said, go back to the beginning where all things began. And the verse that stuck out unto me was Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. See, when I read that verse, my brothers and sisters, That's what opened my eyes. I said, oh, it's your heavens that give us and let us know when are your holy days, when are the ordinary days, when the years begin and end, and when the seasons begin and end. So he had me go from the beginning of the book to the prophets, to the Apocrypha, and to the gospel. And when I did it in the way he instructed me, he gave me confirmation on everything I'm sharing with you. He also gave me other witnesses, such as the work of Josephus. And tonight, what we're going to look at is the book of Moses, known as Jubilees. Another name for it is called Little Genesis. See, our Father do not leave us hanging for those who really want to know the truth. He will show you these things, but we have to what? Be willing to listen and unharden our heart. And believe me, my brothers and sisters, I went through the same thing. My flesh fought against it, but my spirit, that the one who dwelt in me, prevailed over the flesh. And when he gave me the confirmation that I needed, that's how I knew that the fourth beast calendar has nothing to do with our Father, nor with his calendar. And it fulfilled what Daniel told us. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, I'm going to read the word first, because when we read the word first, we get understanding why the shofar needs to be played on at the beginning of his holy day, because you know the shofar has many purposes. So if you can turn your Bible to Numbers chapter 10, I'm going to read about one verse, but I'm asking you in your spare time to read the whole chapter 10, because then you will get understanding why the shofar is used and when it's used. So when you read the Bible and you read the work of Josephus, these things will come out to you. You will see, oh, now I see what Sister Yida is talking about. It's amazing how the Father does stuff. But let us begin. Numbers chapter 10, verse 10. Okay, and bear with me. I'm going to hold this still. And let me get a little light over here. Bear with me. There we go. I know it's taking a while to come in, but I'm reading out of the King James 16:11. And this is what the words say. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you forevermore before your God. I am Yahuwah, your God. Just that verse alone says a whole lot. So in his holy days, we are to what? Sound the shofar. When you read the work of the Josephus, you will learn that's what they did. So we're going to play this for a couple minutes. Bear with me. And you know how the internet can be. But just bear with me on this. Okay, so I pause it there. And I do want to apologize. I know that video may have some words that we don't typically use, but I'm just using what I have right now. I just want you to get understanding about the shofar. But just alone hearing the shofar, what it reminds you of, what the Messiah was telling us dealing with these holy feasts and holy feast days. When we hear the shofar, it's to alarm us. Either something is coming, something is about to take place, or judgment is coming forth. It is to alert us. And it should remind us of what will happen when the Messiah shall come with the hosts of heavens, when he shall bring what the earthly judgment. So these are why we do these things, because it's to teach us spiritual things, but it's also what? To be even more unto us, to remind us of what is yet to come, because the word is the word. Okay? So be it on that. Now, to the title of the video. It says Shabbat Shalom, blood moons, and when did man keep the Sabbath? That is one of the things that some people are not discussing, because when we look at all these sacred books that the Father has read for us to read, and when we are under the teaching of the Spirit, we begin to understand the King James Bible. Because if you notice, when you read the book of Genesis, when you read the book of Genesis, you will notice that the Sabbath is mentioned there in that book, but you don't see it again until you get to the book of Exodus. Why? Well, when you learn the history of the King James Bible, you will learn that the book of Jubilees was a part of the Bible, and evidence of that is kept by our people. There's a remnant of the Israelites in the land of Ethiopia. They have all the majority of the books that was ordained for us to read, my people. So the book of Jubilees give the history of that. I also recommend that you read Jubilees chapter 1 and chapter 2 in your spare time. But for the sake of time, we're not going to read everything, Israelites and Gentiles, but we're going to read to give us understanding, where we're going to read the era to give us understanding about when did his Sabbath begin in the earth. When did Adam keep the Sabbath in the earth? Because we know what is done in heaven is also done in the earth. Okay, but before we begin, I do want to clear some things up about the blood moon video. When I heard the playback, the most important thing did get across. I want you to get the understanding, what does the blood moon mean? Well, it means judgment. That's why you see the moon as blood. Blood shall be spilled for the sins and transgressions, for their wickedness. When you read Revelation 14, you will definitely see what I'm talking about, as well as what the prophets has wrote. Which bring us to this, of what the Messiah said, because it goes with the beginning. Like I tell people, you can't put away the old, for the old go in hand with the new. They are witness to each other. When you go to the book of Luke, chapter 21, Messiah says this, because it confirmed what Genesis chapter 1 verse 14 was telling us. And this is a scripture that you can use with the Gentiles for those who come against the Hebrew Israelites to say that the Negroes are not his people. Well, this is one of the scriptures you can use. And I want to give a shout out to my brother Mikael, because you can add this scripture to your collection, because you did an excellent job bringing out the word in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 32, letting the world know that said that our identity will be taken away. And it's in his word, which does not match up to what we call Yada. Yada. They are converts. You can find that Hebrew word in the book of Esther. Okay, it don't match up to the converts who are in the land today, for we know they are the sons of Japheth, the son of Esau, and the son of this unknown ancient nation, that the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and the prophet has talked about. Yes. And one of the evidence you can look at their color, their hair, and you can look at the color of the eyes, because science now is matching up to the word of the Most High. For science says that the original color of man's eyes was brown. So the lighter the eye color, the less melanin they had. Okay. Also, when you learn about hair color, you will learn that the color of the Israelites' hair was either black or white. And now today we call gray hair white. You can find evidence of that in Matthew chapter 5. I think it's verse 36, and the book of Leviticus chapter 13, and also read chapter 14. Now, if you are someone who do not have black hair or white hair, or also if you're someone who do not have brown eyes, please do not get disencouraged. See, you got to know the word, my brothers and sisters. Okay? What does the new covenant say about those who receive it? Did he not say that the stranger will be clean unto him, for whatever he sanctified, it shall be clean unto him? So do not allow your outer appearance be a distraction unto you or be a stumbling block unto you on what I'm saying. But see, it's something that Daniel prophesies in chapter 2. For he said they shall mingle themselves with mankind. See, there's more to this divine story that many are not talking about because they're focused on the carnal things. They've been distracted by what Satan has placed before them. They've been distracted by the fourth beast kingdom snares. See, it's a lot more going on to this divine story that we don't know about. But let us continue. Let's look at the book of Luke chapter 21. Okay, now this is one of the verses you can use to those who don't have the full understanding who are the children of Israel. Okay, Luke chapter 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations. Shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. Okay, so this is the verse you definitely want to highlight. One of the key things, it says that when Jerusalem is destroyed, because we know it was destroyed, as Jerusalem of the Amorites. Okay, that's another issue, but we'll save it for another day. But there is a video on the channel that talks about the two Jerusalem to give you an understanding and how it relates to the biblical prophecies. Okay, now in that verse it says that what? The Israelites shall be led away captive into all nations. See, the Jews today will be captives. Okay, they would be taken throughout the four corners of the earth. And when you study their history, you learn they were made as slaves. And even until this day, they are still vexed and oppressed by their oppressors. Okay, they are at the bottom of the ladder. They are the tail. All right, and that's because of what they have done unto the Father, for we have broken the covenant with him. And when you read the book of Zechariah, you will learn that they are cursed right now, but very soon, the curse shall be uplifted off of them. All right, that's why we're waiting for the Messiah to return, to restore all things to its proper place, and to give the world back into the hands of the righteous. So this verse right here is definitely an excellent verse to show ones who still don't have the full understanding on who are the children of Israel. And even if they do not receive it, guess what, my brothers and sisters? It's okay. Because the word's the word. The words say, until our Father in heaven get his honor and his glory, then shall he make the world know who we are. See, right now it's only a remnant that we know these things. But they'll be brought in later on. Another verse I would like for you to look at is in Luke chapter 21, verse 25, because it goes in hand with Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. For the Messiah said, there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and on the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the air. But when you get a chance, read that whole chapter. Okay, because each of the Gospels, each of the books of the Gospel have a piece to the puzzle that would give you more understanding about these last days. But even the Messiah said, what, they're going to be signs in the sun, signs in the moon, which go in hand with Genesis 1:14. For it says that these lights in the heaven shall be what? For signs. So when we saw the blood moon yesterday, it is to confirm unto us that the Father said, I have not forgotten you, my children, but hold on. Because judgment is coming. Hold on. I meant what I said. My word shall not come back void unto me. That's what our Father in heaven said. It shall be fulfilled. So he gave us these signs in heaven to let us know his word is his word, and it shall be done. But hold on. For everything is at a time and at a season. See, you have to understand our Father. When you read, I think it's in the book of Peter or the book of Timothy, because time for our Father is different for him than for us. See, our Father loves us so much, he given us time to make it right. Because, see, people don't understand what is about to come. What is about to come is something that no man can bear. It's going to be some great troubles upon this earth. So he loves us so much that he's given us time to come in, but soon that time will be running out, my brothers and sisters. We got to do our part. We got to warn our family, our friends, the strangers, even our enemies. We have to warn them, because if you understand anything about our Father in heaven, we know he's a righteous judge. Does he not send the prophets out? Does he not send his messengers out to warn before judgment come? See, that's how righteous he is. He give you time to make it right with him so you can repent. So on that day when you face him, you have no excuse. You cannot tell him, I didn't know. Because your life is going to flash before your eyes, testifying against you and tell you, yes, you did. Here it go. So and this go for me too. Because we are called or chosen for whatever position in the body of Messiah, that don't mean we're going to get in either. We have to make sure too that we have to make it right with the Father. This go for me and this go for you. Okay. All right. So those are two verses that you can also reflect back at this time. Those are two verses that you can reflect back to study, to get understanding about these last days. And the reason why I read this, because when you go to the book of Jubilees, okay, this is the book by Moses, because the Most High showed Moses a lot of great things when he met with him face to face in Mount Sinai. Now, the copy of the version I have, and you can go to sacredtext.com. I think it's sacred-text.com, and it's free, but it's on a different author who translated it. But this version I got is come from a book titled The Apocrypha, including books from the Ethiopic Bible, and it was compiled by Joseph Lipkin. Because now we're in the time where many people are going now over to Ethiopia and translating those sacred books, because people want to know the truth now. And the Father is opening that door now, because this is the season for all things to be revealed. Because once we reject his word, guess what? You shall start believing lies. And me, I don't know about you, but I don't want to believe a lie. I want to know the truth so I can make the right decision and make it right with my Father. Now we'll get back on subject. Now, the reason why I brought this out, I can't read a whole chapter, but I want you to read Jubilees chapter 1, chapter 2. It's a deep message in there for you Israelites. Also, it's a message in there for the Israelite and Gentile, because when we enter into covenant together, when we enter in this marriage with the Father and with the Son, there are things we are committing ourselves unto them, for we are their wife. When you understand what that means, when you understand what a covenant is, you are joining yourself unto them. So you are committed unto them. So whatever they order us or instruct us to do, we have to follow. Okay. And to understand that relationship, just look at your earthly relationship with your earthly husband and with your earthly wife. Look at the order of that. When you understand those carnal things, then you begin to understand the spiritual things too. Okay. In Jubilees chapter 1, I do want to read, there's a few verses. This is to give to the Israelites, because it goes with Luke chapter 21, verse 24. Okay. And you'll see what I'm talking about. So if you don't mind, we're going to read just a couple verses. We're going to start with verse 13. I will hide my face from them. I will deliver them into the hand of the Gentiles. That's another sign of who are the Israelites. So we're going to be under the reign of the Gentiles. Okay? They will be captured like prey for their eating. I will remove them from out of the land. I will scatter them among the Gentiles. That is another sign. So we're going to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. We will be among the Gentiles, and we'll be under their reign, okay? Which go in hand what was talked about in Luke chapter 21. And let's look at verse 14. And they will forget my law and all my commandments and all my judgments. So in the land of our captivities, we will forget his law, his commandments, and his judgments. And we can see evidence of that because we have partake in the heathens' religions. Okay? And Judaism is a heathen religion. And the reason why I'm saying that, I'll look at the source. What doctrine they are following the Talmud. Now, when you study the history of Talmud, it did start with my people first. They started that wicked mess, but it was handed over to the converts of today, Yada. Okay? So Judaism is not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a religion of man. Okay? It has nothing to do with the Most High. Remember, when you study words, languages, Hebrew, English, Greek, when you go back to the root, which is the Hebrew, you will learn we are in a covenant. We are in a marriage. It is way different from man's religion. Okay? Let us continue. So that's another sign. The Israelites today will have forgotten the law, his commandments, and his judgment. And we can see evidence of today. This is why my people are in the worst shape. This includes, because today the European labels us as Negroes, Negroes. Also dealing with the natives of this land, because they are Israelites too. They call this land Asareth, all right? They have been labeled with other terms and not by their proper tribal name, okay? There's a lot of things that we are not taught in the European schools. But when you study and you go out and you meet that remnant in those places, you begin to see how much that was hidden from us. All right. And now let's keep going. Let's see here. Let me get my phone right for y'all. We was in verse 14. Okay, now let us begin. They would go astray regarding the observation of new moons and Sabbaths and festivals and Jubilees and law. So they would go astray and not regard the observation of the new moons, Sabbaths, festivals, Jubilees, and laws. The heathens today would say, well, we don't have to keep that now. The reason why they're saying that, because they are, misinterpreting what Paul say. Even Paul encouraged the Israelite and the Gentile to keep these holy days. Even Paul demonstrated of him these holy days. But the proof of this can be found in the prophets. Did not the prophet Isaiah prophesy that all flesh shall come and worship Yahuwah on his new moon days and on his Sabbath days? Did not the prophet Ezekiel prophesy what would take place in the new eternal kingdom? And in his new temple, we will come and worship him on the new moon days, the Sabbath days, and his solemn feast days. And he gave us the instructions on what gates we shall enter, because in the temple, there's an east gate, west gate, south gate, and north gate. See, when you don't come in the whole volume of the book, you can be easily deceived by the children of Satan. For those who truly don't have a heart or do not take a delight in his holy days, but they want you to keep the fourth beast pagan days, such as Christmas, keeping worship on Sunday, keeping Easter, and so many other things, etc. So when people find the truth, that's your test. See, the Father wants to see where your heart is. Will you take a delight in what he ordained for you to keep? Or will you continue to follow man? That's your test. See, when people say, well, the Creator know my heart, and that's true. He does know your heart. He knows what you're thinking, the things that man cannot see nor hear, but he can. He can tell if you will have a delight in keeping what he ordained and sanctified versus what man keeps. He looks at that. Okay, that's something to meditate on. Now let's go to verse 15. For it says, after this, they return to me from among the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength, and I will gather them from among all the Gentiles, and they will seek me. I shall be found by them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul. I'm going to read that again, but I'm not going to move my phone because I want you to really hear this last verse. For our Creator said, our Father in heaven said, after this, they return to me from among the Gentiles. That's another sign of who we are. The Israelites return to our Father in heaven from among the Gentiles with all their heart and with all their soul and with all their strength. And I will gather them from among all Gentiles, and they will seek me. I shall be found by them when they seek me with all their heart and with all their soul. And we can see evidence of that happening today. The Hebrew Israelites are striving. We are striving to return back to the Creator, to our Father, and to keep the covenant that he had made with our forefathers and with us. You can see evidence of that. And when that fullness of times come, he shall gather us. See, that's 3 groups now for the gathering. Okay. All right. You have the bride of the Lamb, you have the 144,000, and you have the nation of Israel. Some shall be redeemed from the earth, and some shall remain in the earth and go into the wilderness and go through that purge, and those that make it shall enter into the Holy Land. When you read Jeremiah chapter 3, the nation has to be rebuilt again. That's all I'm going to share on that. Read Jeremiah chapter 3, and read 2 Maccabees. I think it's either chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. But if you had the 6 and 11, you will learn about the tabernacle and the ark, where it's truly kept. Do not go by what man tells you. Stand by the word. So I'll leave that on that little part. Okay. But that's another sign to let you know who are the Israelites, who are the Jews, because the Father said that he would have to deliver them, not man. And you know, when our Father delivered them, you know, what's the word? He gonna make a big show. He gonna let the world know who he is. And when you read Ezekiel chapter 38 and chapter 39, you'll see what I'm talking about, because the prophet Isaiah, the prophet Ezra, in the Greek tongue they say Esdras, have given us certain signs, certain miracles that would take place when he gathered the Israelites. See, what was done in the book of Exodus shall be done again, but on a larger, grand scale now. This is why it's so important to know the word inside out, because if you know that word, you will know that those people that those people in the land today was placed there by man's hand. Now all things work to the will of Yahuwah. Okay, because they have a part to play. Remember, he told Israel he will have what? A foolish nation to make them jealous, which is happening today. Okay. So when you come in the whole volume of the book, when you read Deuteronomy 32, Romans chapter 10, you will understand why they are there. They have a role to play too. Everything has a part in this divine story. All right. Now, enough on that. Now let's get to the part that deals with the subject at hand. When did man keep the Sabbath in the earth? So I will add that in the title. I couldn't because in the live video, it won't let you add it. So the question is, when did man keep the Sabbath? Now, when you study the books of the Bible, you will notice that Sabbath is only mentioned, I think it's in the 2nd chapter of Genesis. And then you don't hear no more about it until you get to Exodus chapter 16. There's a reason for that. So what I will do, I'm going to read, we're going to go to chapter 2, okay, of the book of Jubilees. I want you to see this so you can see I am in chapter 2, okay, chapter 2. And I'm going to go to the verse that deals with the creation of the lights. We're going to read some of those first, and then we're going to go to the nitty gritty. Okay. So I'm going to go to verse 8. All right. But I do want you to spare time to read that whole chapter. Jubilees chapter 2, verse 8. On the 4th day, he created the sun and the moon and the stars and set them in the sky of the heaven to give light on all the earth and to rule over the day and the night and divide the light from the darkness. Okay. Now, the question I want to ask you is, this was done on the 4th day. Now, is this the same time as man would say a day is? This is one of the greatest mistakes that I see my brothers and sisters make. When you read Genesis chapter 1 all the way to chapter 5, you will learn that when the Creator made all his creations, he did it in 6,000 years. And when you read the book of Psalms, and I think it's the book of Peter's, you will learn that 1,000 years unto the Creator is a day. See, time is different from him. I mean, it's different for him than for Adam, man. Okay? The reason why these lights was made, it was made for Adam to give him understanding about time, to give him understanding about the signs, about the seasons, the days and years. See, our Father don't need that. He made it for man. So I do want to point that out, because when people read the book of Genesis, and I'm guilty of that too myself, we look at it with carnal eyes, but we need to seek his spirit to teach us all things. Another proof that the Spirit want me to remind you is that when you read Genesis chapter 2, what did he tell Adam? He said, if you eat of the tree of good and evil, you will die in that day. Did not Adam die in that day? What age was Adam? He was 930 years old when he died. But what day did he die in? Write this down. He died in the 6th day. And the 6th day was 6,930 years. That's the day he died. That is the second proof unto you that I'm giving you to let you know that creation took place in 6,000 years, and our Father rested in the 7,000 year. Okay? Now I'm going to read verse 9. Okay? Verse 9. Yahuwah appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days and for Sabbaths and for months and for feasts and for years and for Sabbaths of years and for Jubilees and for all seasons of the years. Now, I know we just read this. You were like, wait a minute, it only mentioned the sun. Okay. Remember, these are Gentiles translating these sacred texts. So when I went to sacred texts to look at that translation, there was a note made about that verse. For it even says that the moon was left out. Okay. So you go back. This is why I like my kingdom. That's your foundation. What did it say in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14? It said that these lights in the firmaments of the heaven shall be for signs, for seasons, for days, for years. So this is how we know when you go to sacredtext.com and you read the footnote, they are correct. The moon was left out. That is another piece to confirm unto you that the heavens determine the Sabbath day, not the fourth beast calendar, which is in great error because it does not follow the circuits of the heavens. But now we get into the nitty-gritty on the Sabbath, because we're going to find out, when did man keep the Sabbath in the earth? All right, so let me find out what verse I should start reading. Okay, now I see. We're going to start at verse 17. Verse 17 of Jubilees chapter 2. He gave us a great sign, the Sabbath day, that we should work 6 days, but keep Sabbath on the 7th day from all work. And then that verse, I want you to write down Ezekiel chapter 46, and I want you to read verse 1 through 9. That is the formula. We are to work, 6 days, but rest on the 7th day. Ezekiel gives you the formula of his calendar. For when you study about when we come to worship the Father in the new eternal kingdom, the east gate shall be open on the new moon day and open on the Sabbath day. But there must be 6 working days before the Sabbath. Hint, hint. So if the east gate is open on the new moon day and on the Sabbath day, and you must have 6 days or work before the Sabbath, that is your proof and evidence that the new moon day and the Sabbath are on the same day. When you study the offerings, there are listed that takes place in Numbers 28 and Numbers chapter 29, and also looking at Leviticus 23. That is your hint to let you know that the new moon day is always on a different day from your Sabbath day. These things come by the teaching of the Spirit to give you understanding. Remember what our Father in heaven said. He said, my thoughts are not your thoughts, and my ways are not your ways. See, we've been taught by the heathens. We should fulfill the word. Did he not say that we would be scattered among the Gentiles? And that we would forsake all the things that he instructed us to do and follow the ways of the Gentiles? something to really think on. Now we'll go to verse 18. I'm going to turn, let me see if this will let me turn my camera around. So we can have, here we go. This is a little more better. Verse 18. All the angels of the presence of Yahuwah and all the angels of sanctification, these two great types of angels, he has told to tell us to keep the Sabbath with him in heaven and on earth. Do you see a relationship between the heaven and the earth? What's done in heaven is also done in earth. The spiritual and the carnal go hand in hand. The two work together. Verse 19. And he said to us, look, I will separate to myself a people from among all the peoples, and these shall keep the Sabbath day, and I will sanctify them to myself as my people, and will bless them as I have sanctified the Sabbath day, and do sanctify it to myself. Even so will I bless them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their God. Do you understand what sanctification is? Do you see what the Father just said? This is giving us understanding now why we do not see the mentioning of Sabbath until we get to Exodus chapter 16. See, you have to be sanctified to keep it. But not just anybody. What did the Father just say? He said what? Here, I will sanctify them to myself as my people. See, when you read, I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 5 or chapter 10, which go in hand with Exodus chapter 17, that cloud that followed them and how he sanctified them, you begin to understand what had to take place before they can keep the Sabbath. Okay, oh, just my arm is getting a little tired. Sorry about that. Let me get my hand straight. There we go. That you have to be sanctified, just like when Moses built the tabernacle, that had to be sanctified. This is why we have what we call, well, today they call it Hanukkah, but Hanukkah means what? Dedication. When did this dedication take place in the Bible? It took place in the days of Moses, and King Solomon built the temple. When Ezra and Nehemiah restored the temple, you have, and then in the days of Maccabees, it had to be what? Dedicated, sanctified. See, we have understanding what that means. Then we know that not anyone can just keep the Sabbath. Not anyone can just build a temple unto Yahuwah or his house. Certain things had to be done. See, our Father is very particular. He's peculiar. So again, this is why it's so important to keep these holy days. Because when you keep these holy days and you get the word out and you study and you understand what it spiritually means, then you will understand the new covenant, what takes place with us. Very deep. Okay? So here we just learned that Yahuwah chose a nation of people to keep the Sabbath day. So even though he instructed Adam about the Sabbath day, it was not kept in the earth until the day when the nation of Israel came forth. When he brought them out. But let us keep going because it's going to get deep right here. Verse 20. I have chosen the offspring of Jacob from among all that I have seen and have written down as my firstborn son, and has sanctified him to myself forever and ever. Now that word you want to underline. Ever, forever and ever. And I would teach them the Sabbath day, that they may keep the Sabbath on it from all work. This is why the book of Jubilees, this is one of the reasons why it was removed by the heathens, Israelites and Gentiles. They didn't want you to know the truth about the Sabbath. This is why when we begin to say it would be a sign unto the world to let them know we are his people. When you read the work of Josephus, you will see that the heathens mention us keeping the Sabbath. Even Josephus confirmed this, what I'm saying unto you, because when you study the work of Josephus, even though it was translated by the Gentiles, there was clues Josephus left, okay? We can see where the Gentile inserted their interpretation of things, but Josephus left. And one of the evidence, because there's many evidence in that book that Josephus left unto us, that the sheaf weight offering is always on a bid 16. And if it's always on a bid 16, guess what? The Sabbath was on a bid 15. Passover on the bid 14th, which go along with the 16, because when they came to that area, it was on the 15th day, but they didn't receive the quail and the manna till the 16th day, and they did it for 6 days, and they kept the first Sabbath of on the 22nd day. Go back and study. Go back and read Exodus chapter 16. And the same thing happened in the days of the Messiah. He was crucified on Pesach, known as Passover, the 14th day. Then you had a day to happen within a day. Sorry about that. Let me see, can I reverse this? Okay. So, let me get my thought back on track. So now we're beginning, and then when you read the gospel, that's right. He was crucified on the 14th day. You have a day to happen within a day on the 14th day. History on that part, to understand how the Messiah shall be in the center of the earth. He was in Sheol. He was in the heart of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. The 15th was the Sabbath. That's why you had the women hurrying to, get his body in a new tomb before sundown, because Abib 15th was the Sabbath. Then on the first day of the week, when the women was coming to his tomb, which is Abib 16th, which is a sheaf weight offering that represent the first fruits of the barley harvest, which is a carnal representation of what would happen in the spiritual with the Messiah. Is he not the first fruit of the first resurrection? Is he not the second Adam? Did not he resurrect with body, soul, and spirit? Is he not the first fruit? Do you see how the carnal go in hand with the spiritual? Okay, but let us keep going. Verse 21. He created it in it a sign in accordance with which they should keep us on the 7th day, to eat and to drink and to bless him who has created all things, as he has blessed and sanctified to himself a peculiar, exclusive people above all peoples, that they should keep Sabbath together with us. So again, what's done in heaven and is done in earth. We are to keep the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day, just as they do in heaven. It was a sign that he created. Okay, so the Sabbath is a sign unto mankind to let them know we are his people, because Israel was to what? Draw men unto him. When you study Torah, you will learn that the Gentiles took a hold of the old covenant. But they had to come in. They had to follow what we follow. We set the example, my brothers and sisters. But because we are flesh, as written in the book of Psalms, chapter 68, the nation of Israel fell. This is why the Messiah had to come, because the Messiah had to redeem Adam. And Adam means mankind. For when you understand what took place in Genesis, then you understand why he had to come. Then you understand why the nation of Israel was in darkness and why they could not understand these spiritual things and why they failed to set the example to mankind, because they were set up what? To lead mankind back to the Creator. That's our role. That's our job. This is why we are a peculiar people, a special people. We was created by the Most High. We were sanctified by the Most High, Israelites. And we got a job to do. Okay, let me see how far I want to keep reading because it'd be too long. Let me keep reading. Let me see which verse I want to skip down to. Okay, let's keep going, because I don't want to leave any good things out. Verse 22. He calls his commands to rise up as a sweet odor, acceptable before him all the days. See, by keeping his command, what is a sweet odor unto our Creator. Verse 23. There were 22 heads, representatives of mankind, from Adam to Jacob, and 22 kinds of work, creations, was made until the seventh day. This is blessed and holy, and the former also is blessed and holy. And this one serves with that one for sanctification and blessing. Verse 24. Jacob and his offspring were granted that they should always be the blessed and holy ones of the first testimony and law, even as he has sanctified and blessed the Sabbath day on the seventh day. Now right here, you want to understand about our Father time. What is the seventh day unto the Father? The 7,000 year. But unto man, we on a smaller scale. What? According to the formula of the prophet Ezekiel, we worship the Father on the new moon day, go to the east gate. Then after the new moon day, it is closed for 6 working days. And then on the 7th day, we come back to the east gate to worship Yahuwah, which is his Sabbath day. Ezekiel chapter 46. Now we're going to read verse 25. Okay? And notice here again, you have to be what? Sanctified and be blessed. Our Father is very particular. Verse 25. He created heaven and earth, everything that he created in 6 days. And Yahuwah made the 7th day holy for all his works. Therefore, he commanded on its behalf that whoever does any work on it shall die, and that he who defiles it shall surely die. Now, one of the things that the Most High frown upon is when we do evil in the sight of his eyes. To understand what is good and what is evil, you have to understand Torah, as well as the prophets and the other books. Therefore, they're all the extension of Torah. Songs, the prophets, are the extension of Torah. And Brother Mikael had pointed that out with scriptures. You can find that in the gospel of that. Okay? So one of the things that the Spirit was teaching me on his holy days, our Father do not want us to do any evil in the sight of his eyes. He wants us to do what is right in the sight of his eyes. So when you study what the Messiah does, such as him healing the sick, such as them plucking the corn from the ear, all these things was based on Torah. He did not break not one law. He crossed every T and dotted every I. Okay. Then we're going to read verse 26. Because of this, command the children of Israel to observe this day, that they may keep it holy and not do any work, and not to defile it, as it is holier than all other days. It's holier than all other days, the Sabbath day that we call Shabbat in the Hebrew tongue. Because our Father, what we are made is in his image. Therefore, when he rests, he wants his creation to rest too. He is such a righteous Father. He is a righteous God. Do you see, do you understand what our Father is teaching us, Israelites and Gentiles? Do you understand when the words say that we are made in his image? What he does, we should do. We are his children. Okay, verse 27. And whoever profanes it shall surely die, and whoever does any work on it shall surely die eternally, that the children of Israel may observe this day throughout their generations, and not be rooted out of the land, for it is a holy day and a blessed day. Verse 28, everyone who observes it and keeps Sabbath on it from all his work will be holy and blessed throughout all days, as we are blessed. Now who are we? He's talking about them in heaven. Again, what's done in heaven is done in earth. Verse 29, declare and say to the children of Israel the law of this day, that they should keep Sabbath on it, and that they should not forsake it in the error of their hearts, and that it's not lawful to do any work on it which is not suitable to do their own pleasure on it, that they should not prepare anything to be eaten or drunken on it, and that it's not lawful to draw water or bring in or take out through their gates any burden which they had not prepared for themselves on the sixth day in their dwellings. Verse 30, they shall not bring or take anything from house to house on that day, for that is more holy and blessed than any Jubilee day of the Jubilees. On this we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath on the earth. Oh my goodness, do you see that? On this we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath on the earth. When did man start keeping Sabbath? And I have to go and find the right month, because we have the answer now. Man started keeping Sabbath. It's in the book of Exodus chapter 16. I'm about to get there. I'm in Numbers right now. Going past Leviticus. Okay. Now I'm in Exodus. Chapter 16. Okay. When we read the beginning of Exodus chapter 16, we learn that the Israelites come to the wilderness of Sin, S-I-N. Okay. I'm going to read the summary chapter to you. It says in Exodus chapter 16, the summary, the Israelites come to Sin. Get my hand steady. They murmur for want of bread. Yahuwah promised them bread from heaven. Quails are sent, and manna. The ordering of manna, it was not to be found on the Sabbath, and the omer of it is preserved. So they came to Sin, and this verse will give us the date. Verse 1. And they took their journey for Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came unto the wilderness of Sin. Now my question unto you, who made up the congregation of the children of Israel? When you study Deuteronomy chapter 29, Exodus chapter 12, as well as the whole book of Torah, the congregation of the children of Israel was made up of Israelites and Gentiles. Okay, let's continue to read. which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their departing out of the land of Egypt. So they came to Zin on the second month in the 15th day. That's how you get your timeline. Now you're probably wondering, why would the Father rescue his people out of Egypt? Because remember, he brought them out of the land of Egypt at night on the 15th day of the month of Aviv. So why would the Father bring his people out on the day of Sabbath? Hint, hint. This is where the controversial. What does Sabbath represent? Rest. What do we see what the prophets say about rest unto the bride, to the 144, and to the nation of Israel? He said, you shall enter into my rest. There we shall have what? Liberty to worship Yahuwah without being vexed, oppressed. There we shall be what? Free from our labors, free from our oppression, our sorrows, our pains, no more death. Do you understand what this holy day was teaching us, Israelites and Gentiles? It was teaching us something very deep and spiritual, and what is yet to come. Yes. Okay. So they came to Zin, let me get this right, in the 15th day of the second month. And you will learn that the quails and the manna, I think the quails came at evening, that was at sundown. So it fell on the 16th day of the second month. And the manna came in the morning, that fell on the 16th day of the second month. And they did collect the manna for 6 days. So the first Sabbath they kept was in the second month on the 22nd day. And you will see the same dates in the gospel. The Messiah was crucified on Abib 14th. The Sabbath came on Abib 15th. And on the 16th day was the first fruits. And that was the day he resurrected. Okay. Again, you have to understand about time. You have to seek the Father and what that means. Because another thing that my brothers and sisters get hung up on, they get hung on the 3 days and 3 nights, because again, they're looking at it being 24 hours. Again, you got to understand the Most High about time. If you look at the time when Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, when you go back to the book of Exodus, look at the time when he mountain. Because it didn't start at the beginning of light. He went up to the mountain after the morning activities, but unto Yahuwah that counts as a day unto him. So you have to seek the Father to understand about time unto him, what he defines or classify to meet a certain qualification. Okay, so on that. So let's see here. We just finished reading. Let me get this focus again. I do apologize. Trying to see where I'm at. Okay, I read 25, I read 26. Okay, we went down here, verse 30. So we kept Sabbath in the heavens before it was made known to any flesh to keep Sabbath on earth. Okay, so now we get understanding when Sabbath was kept. It first started in the heavens, and then that commandment instruction came through the nation of Israel in the second month, and that first Sabbath was in the second month and on the 22nd day. Okay, so since that time they've been keeping it. All right, now we're going to read verse 31. Let me get this up some. So we have it. We're almost there. We're about done, my brothers and sisters. The creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all peoples and nations. Let me get this adjusted right, because I want you to see this. Let me read it right. The creator of all things blessed it, but he did not sanctify all peoples and nations to keep Sabbath, but Israel alone. Them alone he permitted to eat and drink and to keep Sabbath on the earth. That verse you want to highlight. So the only way a Gentile could keep the Sabbath, because they had to be sanctified now, not anybody could keep it. They had to enter into the old covenant where we have the circumcision of the flesh that was done by hands. All right. Now in the new covenant, we are transitioning, for the Messiah said we shall worship the Creator now in truth and in spirit now. And in this covenant, we are in the circumcision of the heart that's not done by man's hand. Another spiritual mission that many don't understand, but I'm going to give you the reason for the new covenant. We are in the fourth beast kingdom that has set many snares in our paths, Israelite and Gentiles, preventing us from crossing every T and dot every I. Therefore, we cannot keep Torah perfectly by our hand. So the Father had to create a new covenant. Okay, we can keep Torah perfectly, but now it's done spiritually. Because he who abides in us makes us sanctify, makes us holy and blessed. And this is how we can keep Sabbath, okay? We may not be able to dot every I and cross every T, but because he who abides in us makes us able to keep Sabbath perfectly, a mystery that many do not understand. This is why in the bride of the Lamb there are Israelites and Gentiles, males and females, bond and free, circumcised and uncircumcised. Okay, because we are in the fourth beast kingdom. If you understand what this beast kingdom is trying to do, what? Keep us from keeping the covenant. And they're doing a very good job at it. They are following after the first wicked one, known as Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a Greek king who was so horrible to the Most High people, where he kept them from keeping the covenant. See, there's nothing new beneath the sun. So when you understand the new covenant and how we are able to keep Torah perfectly, not by our hand, but by the one who abides in us. For he is the salvation and righteousness of Yahuwah. A mystery that many do not understand, because this covenant abridged us, making us to be able, making us holy and acceptable, so we can enter into the new kingdom. But then in the new kingdom, we shall go back to the creative original plan, and you will see that in the prophet's writings. Okay. I don't want to talk too much because I don't want to keep this video too long, but I want you to understand this. When you study Torah and you study what must be done, and when you know your Father is holy and you know he is particular, then you know you cannot come to him any. It's taking place. This fourth beast kingdom has made it difficult where we cannot do those things by our hand now. This is why we have to enter into the new covenant that was established by the Messiah. Now, for the Israelites who do not, as written in Romans 11, he said he shall have mercy upon Israel again. So he's going to bring them out, those who are alive at the appointed time. That's the key. You got to be alive at that appointed time when the Messiah shall come back. He's going to bring them out, and he's going to deal with them face to face. And he's going to purge out the rebels too. And those who make it, he's going to give them a new heart and a new spirit. See, the bride already has a new heart and new spirit. They've been circumcised of the heart, and they have a new spirit, and they're waiting for the final piece of the regeneration. See, we follow the example of the second Adam, body, soul, and spirit. You have to understand what took place for him. What took place for him will also take place for us. A mission that many do not understand. But for Israel, who has not taken hold to this new covenant, who is not following the instruction of this new covenant, he's going to deal with them face to face for those who are alive at that appointed time. And he's going to get them right. So pray and hope. Pray for them. Okay? Pray that they will not be disobedient. Pray that they do not follow the footsteps of their ancestors, because our Father is not playing anymore. Okay? All right. So right here, So when we read verse 31, some Gentiles may feel envious or jealous, but you got to understand our Father and why he do certain things. When you read Jubilees, it would give you, the whole book, it would give you understanding why he chose. He is a righteous judge. When you understand the history of Adam, you will learn this, Gentiles. Everyone was given a chance to serve him, but they chose to go after other gods. So our Father made a nation unto himself to worship him. But because we are in this flesh, they fell too. So he sent his Son to redeem Adam back to him, to return things in its proper order. And the day would come, the Israelites would no longer be the tail, but they would be the head. But the difference is, Gentiles, they would be in righteousness. They would not be in wickedness, because they would not be in flesh anymore. They will rule in righteousness, but the Messiah and Yahuwah will be over them. Okay? Now let's read verse 32 and verse 33. We're going to wrap this up. And the Creator of all things blessed this day, which he had created for blessing and holiness and glory above all days. This law and testimony was given to the children of Israel as a law forever to their generations. So you know our Father is the same. He does not change. That chapter, I hope this bless word unto you today. For this word is the bread that shall feed our spirit man. I hope it gives you understanding, but if you do not understand anything I said today, seek Yahuwah. As the words say what? Seek ye shall find, knock and the door shall be opened, ask and it shall be given. And we ask in his Son's name, for all powers and authorities has been given unto his Son, because his Son made the greatest sacrifice. He was the one that redeemed us back to the Father, and it is only proper that we give him his homage. Because as the Son said, if you have seen him, then you have seen the Father, and his Father had taught him all things. Therefore he do as his Father does. Okay? Said enough, preached enough. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for we see the signs. The blood moon was a beautiful thing to see yesterday. Make sure the people receive salvation is written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize them in the name of Yahusha HaMashyah. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And now that we see how the carnal go in hand with the spiritual, now we see how the water is the witness in the earth, the second witness in the earth. And the Spirit is the first witness in the earth. So these things go hand in hand. It goes hand in hand, my brothers and sisters. All right, love you all, and shalom. And shalom means peace. And do you understand who that peace is and why we have peace? Read Matthew chapter 28, verse 20, and also read Matthew chapter 10, verse 12 to 13 to understand why we bid a peace unto a person home. All right, shalom.